Everybody doing today? Hotep. Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. It is Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021, and I'm here with Queen Taese of the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Expo. Hotep, Queen Taese, how you doing today, sister?
Great. Hotep to you. Great to see you once again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, I saw a story from National Public Radio. And when I saw the story, I immediately thought about you and your homeschooling institute and the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Expo that you do
Yes.
each year. And I've spoken at the expo a number of times.
Yes.
So the article here, and when I sent it to you, you said you knew some of the people that were talked about in the article from National Public Radio. Uh,
Absolutely.
and this is a conversation here that a lot of people are having. We see a resurgence of COVID-19, and we've seen some schools have to close down and go back to virtual schooling because of COVID. And then also after the Oxford Oxford, Michigan high school shooting, we saw a rash of copycat threats. And then for safety
Mhm.
precautions, uh, we saw school districts shut down the schools and go back to virtual school as well. So,
Yes.
so let people know, let people know briefly who you are, also that may not be familiar with Queen Taese.
Absolutely. I am, first of all, I'm a mother of seven beautiful divine children. I've been homeschooling for 25 years, and working with our babies and our families is really my passion. So, I have, of course, founded the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Institute, which
Right,
is really the crust of what we do. And everything from there has grown in many different facets, from being able to provide resources and training and curriculum materials for Black homeschoolers, but also just Black families in general, because all families should be homeschooling on one level and any level, right, that they can get in at
right.
whatever stage that they are. So we have a lot of different programs. We run an international network of Black homeschool families, educators, children. We're in 12 different countries right now, working strong and really uniting our people around the world around this whole issue of not just the inequities and all of that in our schools, but also just the empowering of our families overall, the things that we need to do for the detoxification of our own indoctrination so we can thrive, right? So we can
Right.
thrive. Simple as that.
Right. Detoxification of our own indoctrination. Exactly. Exactly. Now, and I'm going to pull up your website here also so people can check it out. That's
Okay.
liberatedmindsexpo.com, right?
For the main site is the liberatedmindsinstitute.com. That's our main website. And from that website, you can get to all of the other websites, the things that we do. There's a host of free webinars on there. So we're always giving resources and support. We have our homeschool success supercharge. We have managing their devices.
Okay.
We have African holistic health. So you'll see that as you scroll down a little bit.
Okay. So we're at Liberated Minds
Institute.
institute.com.
Yes.
Liberatedmindsinstitute.com. They have the Liberated Minds homeschool
That's our homeschool
uni-
university where we just launched
university.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, we launched that in September. We have about 300 students on the campus from all over the world. It's a virtual platform. We have
Mhm.
everything from our core curriculum, educational subjects, to financial literacy, cryptocurrency, African hour story, everything in addition to math, science, reading, writing. Just a great opportunity, and it's unique because you pay one price for a family membership.
Okay.
It's around 147 and for the whole family, and you can take unlimited classes. They are live courses,
Okay.
and instructors that really love our children and really care about their growth, their development, and I want to see our children thrive as well. So there's a lot of
Absolutely.
opportunities for parents as well to take courses on the campus, and grandparents. So it's a great opportunity to bring generations together and families together to learn.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. So we just post here. And once again, this is liberatedmindsinstitute.com. Liberatedmindsinstitute.com. Okay. Now, and I'm going to do a quick intro for Queen Taese as well. And I want to check on, let me see here. I want to check on Facebook also.
All right.
Okay,
I want to
so,
say greetings to everyone who's here.
oh,
I see everyone coming in the house.
oh yeah,
Hey, y'all.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, now, um, Queen Taese, also known as the Queen of Black Homeschooling, is a mother of seven, and she's also an award-winning master educator for 20 plus years, a three-category best-selling author, speaker, curriculum developer, Black homeschool slash educational consultant, and visionary, who is a trailblazing businesswoman and homeschool mother for over 23 years. Queen Taese has worked directly with over 50,000 African American children and families in diverse settings, and has now officially expanded her brand to 12 countries, having an even greater impact throughout the African diaspora. She is the founder and CEO of the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Institute, which is well known for the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Expo, and also the Homeschool University that she just told you about as well. Okay, so Queen Taese, one of the things they talked about here in this piece from National Public Radio, npr.org, and I'm going to pull it up again. Everybody can read this article. We'll post a link here. More Black families are homeschooling their children, citing the pandemic and racism. Now, this is a piece from December 13th, 2021 by Kyra Miles. And okay, so here we have Yolanda Chandler homeschooling her children. Okay.
Mhm.
And one of the things they said here in the piece, and I highlighted this, uh, it's a common perception that white evangelical families are the most likely to homeschool their children, but a growing number of Black families have started teaching their kids at home, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now, the U.S. Census Bureau's Household Pulse survey found that in April 2020, 3% of African American households homeschooled their children, and by
Mhm.
October 2020, it was up to 16. Okay, so we see this jump. This was during the pandemic as well. Now, those numbers may not be completely accurate, the Census Bureau
Right.
noted,
Yes.
because a lot of children were learning at home in 2020. So partway through the survey period, the homeschooling question was expanded to clarify that homeschoolers did not include children enrolled in public or private school. So what they
Right.
did is homeschool, they changed how they looked at it. So homeschoolers did not include children enrolled in public or private school. Even so, the numbers signal a significant increase. All right. So what have you seen? What can you tell us about the increase, maybe in the year 2020, and then also now in 2021 as well? What have you seen in the increase of African American parents homeschooling their children?
Well, the increase was already on the rise, right? I think we're at a place in time where we are truly seeing the benefits of us focusing on a different type of education for our children, even before this whole pandemic hit, right? So I think that's really important. And I like the way they distinguish between those who are, public schooling at home and those who are homeschooling, because I think homeschooling, when you group it all together, it really is not the same thing. When parents choose to take their children out of the public school system, it's a more intentional space in terms of what we are looking to create,
Right.
crafting something that's a lot more personalized versus children coming home, bringing the public school system home, right? So the difference being, which I love about what is happening with the pandemic, is that a lot of parents, now that they have had the opportunity to bring that public school system home, realize this is something that I could actually do on my own and do a
Right.
better job at it, right? So that is, to me, one of the beautiful, magical things that has come out of this pandemic, looking at it from the positive side, right? So in terms of numbers jumping, I can say Liberated Minds, our institute has grown over 800% in a year and a
Wow.
half.
Wow.
And so it has been a whirlwind of servicing
No
our
wonder,
people.
no wonder we had to keep rescheduling this this
Yes.
interview, because we were
So,
supposed to do this
I've
last
seen
week,
it
and she's been so
personally
busy.
inside of the network, and all of my brothers and sisters, my colleagues, and my warriors that I walk alongside of that are doing this work are seeing significant jumps as well. So, I want everybody to know that it wasn't just due to the pandemic, but also, just our awakening. This is a very beautiful time to be in, where we can be able to be in a space of truth with our children around education, so that they can avoid a lot of the pitfalls that we did because we didn't know our history or know ourselves or know the
Right.
power of who we are, right? Brother Michael.
Exactly. Exactly. We have to do is just look at the attack on the false attack on critical
Yes,
race theory that we've
yes,
seen this year. And we
yes,
see, on my show last night, I talked very briefly, and I'll talk more about it today. There's a story out of Oklahoma, and we know Oklahoma is where Tulsa is, okay, in the Tulsa Race Massacre. But
yes.
Oklahoma Republican State Representative Jim Olson is proposing introduced a bill to limit how slavery is taught in schools, and he wants to ban schools from teaching that one race is the unique oppressor or victim in slavery. And this is just another attack on how the history is taught in schools. And this is one of the things
Right.
that I'm reading, and you can talk more about this, how African-American parents are trying to get away from these restrictions
Yes,
on
yes.
what can be taught as far as history. Talk about that for a minute, please.
Well, I mean, to me, I think it's a educationally violent. We talk
Yes.
about the things that our young people are taught in schools that are totally erroneous,
Hmm.
that totally do not align with who we are and our experience. And so when we talk about education, as it's supposed to be, it should be about truth. But truth
Right.
always comes from a different perspective, right? So
Hmm.
someone else's truth could be very different than ours. However, it is what it is. And when our children are being taught certain things around the fact that our history started with slavery and all of
Hmm.
these types of things, and not being able to go way back to understand that we were the first people on the planet to not just be here, but to
Right.
create civilizations, and everything
Right.
that exists today, right, is built on the back of our ancestors. Really being able to go deep. I was sitting and reading an article with my son the other day about the history of the White House. Something just so simple, and a lot of the buildings that were built, a lot of the structures and the infrastructure that is here was built by us. So it's very important to know
Yeah.
that, you know, this is a time right now, if we're looking to really evolve into our trueness and our greatness, and to be able to exude that in the world, not just talk about it, right? The intergenerational wealth. Our real wealth is our culture. I always say our culture is our cure. If we don't know who we are and where we come from, we don't know our foundation, then we can
Right.
never move forward in a prosperous way. So moving away from that, we cannot expect for those who have subjugated us and been in power for so long to give that up easily. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
figure out why everyone is waiting for the public school system to decide that they're going to teach our story, our narrative from a truthful space.
Right.
I
Right.
don't think that
Well,
will ever really fully occur.
as I don't, as somebody whose mother taught in public schools for 47 years, I don't think that is, I don't think people are waiting for public schools to teach. I think um, there's a cry from a lot of teachers who are telling these right-wing politicians basically to get out the classroom, because
Hmm.
there are a lot of teachers across the country that realize the real history has to be taught. Okay.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
they're at and they're teachers of different races. Okay.
Right.
And they're saying, look, because see, a lot of this deals with the Civil War not being taught correctly, and then Reconstruction not being taught correctly. This is how
Hmm.
we got a lot of this where we are today. Okay, because Americans are very ignorant of history. So as I explain to people, is like America has to have a massive history lesson, because a lot of the issues that we're dealing with today, especially African Americans, are historical issues that are a result, okay,
Right. Right.
of Reconstruction ending, the Freedmen's
Yes.
Bank failing in 1874, the Jim Crow laws of the 1880s, 1890s, all of that, it brings us right to today. The redlining of
Right.
home, just that contributes to the racial wealth gap. Okay,
That's true. That's very true.
so America has to have a massive history lesson as well.
Well, I
But
think, there's a
go ahead,
lot
go
of
ahead.
there's a lot of great educators that I
Mhm,
know personally in the public
mhm,
school system that I know have who are amazing, passionate, and
mhm.
really there because they love the children. They want to see
Right.
them learn. They want to give them the truth. But even myself, as being
Mhm,
having an experience in a public school system, not even working for the system, but a program that came into the school, my hands were so tied. I ignored
mhm.
it. Didn't make a difference, but they were
Right,
always pulling me to the side. And it was like, you
right.
can't
I
teach
can
that
imagine.
because it's outside of the curriculum. I said, okay, but I'm teaching the curriculum you want me to teach about our
Right,
civil rights, our
right,
story, right?
right.
And but the way you want me to give it to them is in a way that they could
Mhm,
care less. I'm making it
mhm.
relevant to their life. I'm not teaching them anything that's outside of the curriculum. I'm teaching the curriculum from their perspective. That's
Right,
the
right,
difference. But you know
right.
what? No matter how much they fuss, I
Mhm,
was bringing the numbers for those babies. These
mhm.
children were the top children in the school who love to learn. In the first class, I'll never forget because
Mhm.
this middle junior in high school. The first class, I'll never forget. The soon as I walked in the door, they said to me, "Why you wear that head wrap?" Right?
Now,
Do
who
you know
said that? Was it the
one of the
children?
babies? Yeah, the children. Yeah, why you got the
Okay.
head wrap on? Why you wear that head wrap?
Right.
So we spent the whole first class. Forget a curriculum. That is the curriculum. Our life is our curriculum. If it's not connected to that, it means nothing to our children, right? We
Mhm.
spent the whole class talking about what this meant. What does it mean? What is this? This is a crown to me, right?
Right,
What does this
right.
mean for us? And I started talking about how great they were and our ancestry, and they just came closer and closer and closer, and they were so intrigued and they asked so many questions that from that day on, every single class that we had, they were so fully engaged. And this content about civil rights, which was really around the book The Watsons Go to Birmingham, right? It became
What was the
this
name of the book?
The
What was the name of
Watsons Go to Birmingham. It was
the
a book that
Watsons
was
Go to
chosen.
Birmingham? Okay,
It was a book
okay.
that was chosen by the program, and I was just coming in to work with the babies surrounding that. But we have to bring our story to life. If
Right.
we look at the origins, I want to just say it's very important.
Go ahead.
We look at the origins of the public school system. There's
Mhm.
nothing shocking. I do a training with parents, it's called Becoming a Powerful, Proficient, and Professional Homeschool Educator, right? I do this
Right.
for parents, educators, grandparents. It's a 6-week intensive course. And this particular course here, we dive into the origins. Why? Because we need to understand what are we dealing with? Where is our curriculum trauma as parents, right? Because we all
Mhm.
have it from our educational experiences. So we don't pass that on to our children. And the parents are always blown away by the origins. Number one, it solidifies their why. This is why I'm homeschooling. And this is why, even if my children are in public school, that I choose to create a curriculum for them also at home. The things that are important that I feel our family should have and should know, right? So when
Right.
you understand the origins of the public school system, you understand that it was created to subjugate, to indoctrinate, right? You understand the Horace
Mhm.
Manns and all of the people who were involved in the creating, right, of this institutional way of thinking. Then we understand what we're dealing with now. It's no surprise. So it's very important that when we get to the foundation of things, yes, we can have the school system, right? If you
Mhm.
think of it as a building, even though it's an entity, it's a spirit in my mind, very low vibrational spirit, right? If you
Right.
think of it as an entity, from that perspective, if you have a building, you can change the furniture inside the building to make it look fresh, to make it feel better, but it's still the same building, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like that with the school system, it's still the same foundation. And no matter how we can bring in as many amazing educators, we can change the language for this and the language for that, but ultimately, it's not going to change in terms of the premises. Now, many of our educators are able to come in and bring a positive vibration, a positive spirit, and worked really hard to be able to impart, a certain level of confidence and love to our children, which has a huge impact. I call it the spook who sat by the door.
Right.
There's so many of our educators that come
Right.
into these classrooms and they do the doggone thing. And they do what they got to do. But that's not even new itself. We've been homeschooling way back when we weren't even allowed to read and write. Right? I was speaking to one of my jegnas, and she put me in connection with this book called Fugitive Pedagogy. Really powerful book. I was like, wow, this is so deep, because the brother is talking about how, you know, even with Carter G. Woodson, right? We only know him from one aspect, right? But there's a whole other aspect to him.
His birthday was a few days ago too. His birthday was a few days ago.
Oh, was it? I didn't even know that. You see, his name is coming up right here. But there's a whole other aspect where he was sending out, you know, African-centered and Black curriculums to educators that were in the classrooms to sneak and teach the children the truth. Right. And a lot of these educators were getting the same way in the public school system. If they go too far to the left or right, they're getting called to the office. Some of them getting fired. You know, even the principals. I've read some articles recently where some principals were fired, you know, for taking certain stance. So, you know, I think the time is right now not to be in a reactive mode, but to be in a proactive mode. We don't have to wait for things to happen for us to rise up and decide this is what we're going to create, right? These are the maroon villages. I kind of look at the maroon villages, you know, that we have to pull together in our different families and communities and neighborhoods, no matter how small it is, even if it's just you and the neighbor, right? Or people feel like they have to start so big. No, just start at home. Start with the people that your peers, right? Or people you're already talking to who think like you. Not everybody's going to agree. And some people, they're happy with the way things are, and that's fine. We're not trying to convince anybody. But I have seen the results. I've been homeschooling for 25 years. Before all of this was a conversation, I have seen the results of, you know, shaping their minds in a way that's very intentional, very empowering, knowing who they are, you know, and building up their confidence, their academic success, their spiritual success. All the things, their economic success, all the things that we tend to leave out when we think about education, right?
Right.
So I think there's a lot to be explored there.
So for people who are watching this, people who maybe their children are in virtual school because of COVID and things like this, and they say, well, I want to start a Black homeschooling network. Okay. Their children may still be enrolled in traditional school for the time being, but they're doing virtual school or what have you. How because you help people start Black homeschooling networks as well. Talk about how can parents start this.
The best way to start is starting where you are, right? Don't feel away. A lot of times parents come and say, you know, I should have known better, or they were going through this, but realize that we are also healing from our own trauma, our own curriculum trauma, right? Everything that we're going through. So be patient with yourself, connect with others who have like minds, like yourself, right? Like-minded ideas, thoughts, and actions. Because a lot of times people will talk about what they want to do, but they're not really ready to do it. So find those.
They want to debate philosophy. It's like, oh my God.
They want to just drop facts. And I'm like, no, we got to get the work done, right? So start there and speak life into this, you know, this action, this new journey that you are stepping into. Speak life into it. Ask for what you want. Begin to look at your habits and decide, you know, are my habits supporting, you know, the things that I want to see going forward. So if you're spending too much time on social media, maybe you need to cut that in half and spend some more time reading about what is it like to homeschool? What's the power of homeschooling? We also have a list of books and things like that. If you reach out on our at our website,
we can get you information about Institute, LiberatedMindsInstitute.com.
Yes, they can reach out. We can get you some resources. I think it's really important also to know your whys. You know, why is this important to you? Because you're going to need those whys, because, you know, there's the triumphs, right? And there's the challenges. And the challenges definitely the triumphs definitely outweigh the challenges for sure. So but you're going to need those whys.
at your website, LiberatedMindsInstitute.com.
Yes.
They should just click on Contact Us in the upper right.
Contact us. Yes. Okay. And reach right out, and we will definitely connect with you to get you those resources. We also have reading lists. We have other families we can connect you to in your area, wherever you are. So if you don't know of anyone, or if your family just Sometimes your family, I've seen families just totally disown them. Just, what are you doing? We don't understand. These are the free
Right.
webinars right here. Those are the
Okay.
free webinars. If you go to the website, the replays are there. The Homeschool Success Supercharge. If you're thinking about getting started, if you're looking for the myth busters, we have a sister on there, Sister Khadija Ali Coleman, who actually is a part of a partnership with the sister that was in the article. And she was featured
Okay.
on there. A lot of people feel like, well, my children can't go to college if they homeschool. Well, her daughter, went through homeschooling and got offered $750,000 in scholarships. It's just about
Wow.
using our creativity. Like, we're in Kwanzaa, right? We're moving
Right.
into that space, even though it's year round. But
Hmm.
however, that kuumba, we have to
Right.
be very creative.
The creativity. Yeah.
Financially, some things, we have to create and develop because it's
Mhm.
not there for us right now. But we as African people are the most creative people on the planet. So the Homeschool Success Supercharge will get you started. It's a panelist of homeschoolers. I'm facilitating it, also managing their devices, because our children are on these devices a whole lot more than we
Right.
anticipated.
Right.
In the world, they have access to everything, good and bad. So how do
Right.
we monitor that, especially with our younger children and older children? How do we monitor that, what they're doing on the device?
Exactly.
How do we look at, all these different aspects of safety, keeping their mind safe, their body safe, their spirit safe? And then also have our back to school African natural health and wellness. And Sister Celestial Seven, she facilitates that. And it talks about everything, because right now we want to make sure our immunity is strong. We're eating the right foods.
Mhm.
We have to depend more on ourselves
Right.
now than really ever before in this situation, in this narrative, right where we are right at this moment in time. I feel like I always tell people, it's no more dress rehearsal, right? Like,
Mhm.
this is the real thing. All the gardening we've been practicing, and it's cute, my little herbs. Now it's time to like really get down to business. Start
Right.
nurturing our bodies, our health, our families. And another thing I would say too, with those who do want to start either homeschooling, starting a network, start off with a family mission statement. I think that's so important. We do it for our businesses, but we
Right.
don't do it for our families. And it's kind of crazy to do something for the external, then the internal first. And the reason why I say this to parents and educators and different families is because we have to first know what is most important to our family. That's morals, values, traditions, right? The things that we're going to be doing, regardless of what career we do or what school we go to, what program we're in, how we homeschool. There's many different ways for that too. But we have to have our core foundation. And when we look at what those things are, then our homeschooling is simply going to be an extension of all those morals, values, traditions, the things that we expect everybody in our family to maintain. So I think that's very important. And, so we work with, in our training, we work a lot with everyone developing everything out, being able to develop your own curriculum. I think that's one of the biggest things people ask. I don't know how to develop curriculum. Curriculum seems like such a big word. I'm just like, it's tied to like this academic, thing where you have to have gone to college. And we have some parents that haven't even necessarily graduated from high school that,
Okay.
came into this and then, went and got their GED and many different situations and scenarios. I just want to say you can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. I do not have a college education. So a lot of people feel that, a lot of people think that, right? Where did you
Mhm.
go to college? Where did you get your doctorates? And I'm just like, I self-educate and I sit at the feet of my elders and my ancestors. I read, I study, right? Because if we go to these institutions, although there can be some strategy in it, right? There's strategy in it. I have some of my children went, some of my children didn't. I don't push it one way or the other. I say it depends on what is right for each of our families. But what I did personally is I read, I went to lectures, I went to trainings, I took courses, I took classes, I talked to my ancestors, right? And my elders, right? I read a lot of the books. Took a lot of time deep study, and that's alongside me doing. So when you're actually practicing something and you're studying and you're learning about it, you will be surprised at how much will bloom and blossom just because of your intent and your action. So I definitely
Right.
want to say that.
Okay. What tell us about the Homeschool University. Talk about that, and then I'm going to reference back to the
Yes.
article for just a minute. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Homeschool University is really just kind of it is a culmination of some of our greatest African scholars, thought leaders, professionals, as well as powerful parents who are just really involved with, the cultivation of our African children with an African mind. Let me say that. Let me just make that
Right.
disclaimer there. With an African mind, because I'm not talking about cultivating more children who are enslaved to this whole system because they're Black, right? And because no, I'm talking about cultivating our Black children with the African mind, which is very important, which is from a different empowering space, right?
Right.
So all of these educators have come together on the campus. We had over the last 2 semesters, from September to December, we had about 55 courses that ran on the campus. We had everything from agriculture to early algebra to our story to Pan-African environmental science to cryptocurrency, crypto babies, right? We had,
Okay.
and this is children from preschool all the way up to high school. And what it is we also offer support because we're a community of families. We also have a reading component which has over 700 audio books for children like 12 and under, where they can go on, not audio, excuse me, audio and virtual, they can go on in ebooks, I should say. Some of them you can listen to, all of them you can read. So we have a resource of that for the children to access for their literacy training. We have K3 reading and phonics. So if your children are struggling with, beginning, not just struggling with reading, struggling with loving reading, right? Because
Okay.
for our children to
Right.
love something, the teachers are so intentional that they're just so creative and yet still so what's the word I'm looking for? Effective, just effective at what they do. And I think a lot of times our children get lost in the expectations without us giving them the proper vehicle and tools to really be able to meet those expectations. So this is an environment where, the children are loving on each other. I mean, we had a presentation from the Pan-African Environmental Science class where all the children gave presentations about the different things they were learning to the community. And I'll tell you, the way these children were just, great job, your presentation was amazing. Encouragement, being in an environment of encouragement. We also
Right.
have classes for parents as well. We have a ton of classes that I didn't name, but there's so many. We also have
Okay.
classes for parents as well. We had the metaphysics of marketing and monetization. We had African health and wellness. Just a host of classes for them as well, for parents and grandparents. As our goal is to get at least 3 generations on the campus. So there's a lot more that we offer. We have a 24/7 children's radio station, all positive music for like age 10 and down. For our high schoolers, we have, yes, a little bit
Wow.
of everything. We have, there you go, right there. If you scroll down, you'll see a lot of the things that are entailed in the university. We have a video
Okay.
library of hundreds of videos that are all exclusive to Liberated Minds and things that we've done. We have, let's see, the Watoto World of Wonder campus is for the young children up to about age 6, 7. There's the audio books, ebooks. We have African combat science, which is a martial arts that is taught from a different perspective, whereas they're learning about culture, about family, about our warriors, but it's also a lot of physical training as well. We have events, family nights. I mean, just a little bit of, just a lot. And what a lot of it is what the children propose as well. We have educators. We have a virtual campus, study abroad campus. We have educators from all over the world educating. Our brother Shaka Rao, I don't know if you're familiar with him, from Push TV over in the UK. He's teaching, Intro to African-Centered Media, decoding propaganda, music, and symbols. Very powerful for our children to not be indoctrinated with the things that they're seeing, to understand how to look through it with their third eye, with a different lens. So they're not being manipulated, to be a part of things that are not really beneficial for themselves or for our people. So this just talks about a lot of the things that we offer, and it's different plans. So you can pay anywhere. This plan, the $47 plan, actually doesn't exist anymore, but we have the 97 and the 147, and the price will be going up in January slightly.
Okay,
So
I understand that. All this stuff,
yeah,
people don't understand. All this stuff costs money. I know
it
how
costs
it is.
money, and this was really this was a very startup price, a trial price, right?
Right,
But we can work out the kinks on our side at the same time, be able to offer, to the community, but it's not going to go up much. It's still going to be
right.
very affordable. I think it's going up like $100. But when you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at everything that it offers, it includes all of your children for one price. So if we have people on the campus with five siblings, and it's
Right.
not per child. So you could have five siblings
Or
on the
just for the
campus
family.
for the
Right.
family, right? So they could
So,
be very economical for many.
so for example, if now this is a virtual campus.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the um Liberated Minds Homeschool University virtual membership campus. So hypothetically, if you have a family, if you have parents and they have 3 children, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so this is all grades. This is like K through 12, basically, right?
Yeah. Well, no preschool. We have children as young as 3 on the campus. Yes.
Okay, so let's say first grade, so elementary school, middle school, high school.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 3 children, one elementary school, one middle school, one high school, um hypothetically they could take their children out of traditional school and enroll them here for middle school, elementary school, and high school.
Absolutely. We have all the subjects here. They can enroll them here. I always suggest, this is just my personal preference, I always suggest that this be a complement to the things that you are doing at home if you're homeschooling.
Okay.
Just because I feel like every family should have their specific plan and the things that they want to lay out, and we will
Okay.
complement that. So you can, math, science, reading, writing, whatever you're looking for them to do. We have creative writing. We have writers and readers make leaders. We have, like I said, the K-3 reading, math. We have foundational math, right? We have that. So those of your children who are looking to get those foundational skills and strengthen up on those. We have algebra. We have early algebra. We have motherland immersion, which is one course. We have African hour story. I'm just thinking of like the different,
Sure.
different aspects of what people need. But I always say that's just my perspective, that whatever you're looking to do with your children at home, you want to
Mhm.
make sure that you look at the courses that you feel would complement and strengthen that, because it will. Because a lot of the children, a few of the parents have said to me, "You've changed the narrative in my whole household. Like our whole conversation is different." And everything that the parents were trying to instill, now the children are in a community where all the children feel that way and all their parents feel that way. So it's not like fighting against the grain. And we know how that is. If your children are in
Right.
another environment, it doesn't even matter if they're homeschooled. Sometimes it's just around other children, or you're just trying to streamline everything, and just where they pick up on that. Children pick up on everything. I'm always questioning, where you hear that? Where'd you see that? We don't, because I know what we do in here. So if I see
Right.
anything outside of that, I always ask, like, who? No, we don't say that, or different things. But it's you already know. It's just part of being a parent. However, the mindset, we want the norm to be
Mhm.
what we're giving them, right? We don't want that
Right.
to be the anomaly. We want it to be the norm. And so we don't want it's, I know what it's like. At least my children do when they were younger. They, go to a birthday party and everybody's eating a bunch of candy, and we don't really do candy,
Right.
And so it's funny because the children grow into a way of health, wealth, empowerment when they're around other families who want health, wealth, and empowerment, because it's that extra, it's the village, right? It's the village mentality. It's the things you can't fill in, someone else is going to fill in that. And when
Right.
they're talking about certain things to their friends are gonna, oh yeah, that's what my mom says. We do that too in our house, right? So
Mhm.
instead of saying, well, why is your child not eating the candy? Why are you depriving them? I'm like, I'm not. How is that deprivation when we're really a negative deprivation anyway. But that is the mindset that our children will pick up, being in environments we're trying to raise them one way, yet they're being, raised in environments that are much more powerful in another direction. So being in alignment is very important and with what we do, who we have around, and those types of things.
Okay.
So someone said, Nikki said the internet is blocking you. Okay, so if you have any problem, just send me an email to Liberated Minds with an S Education. I got you. Sometimes you know how this world is right now. So a lot of we've been getting a lot of making a lot of power moves. Let's say that.
Right. Liberated Minds.
Liberated Minds Education at Yahoo.
Okay, Liberated
then,
Minds Education at
yahoo.com. Mm-hmm. Okay. Minds with an S. Liberated Minds Education at yahoo.com. So if you're not able to access it, the liberatedmindsinstitute.com. And then you can also feel free to, if you want to go to the liberatedmindsexpo.com, you may be able to access it through there. There might be a little slick way to do it. I'm not sure how the algorithms and everything work. Or you can go to the Queen Taese, queentaese.com as well, one or the other. But if you can't get through, just email me, because you will get me. Liberated Minds, either myself or my operations director, but she will forward to me what's needed. So Liberated Minds Education at Yahoo will get you what you need and definitely help you on your way. So this, I just want to encourage all of you. I'm excited about the numbers, our numbers going up. And I think it's so important that we support each other. That is the key. That's the key piece. Our children need curriculum and an education that really reflects who we are. I appreciate you putting that up, Brother Michael.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know how it is. Trust me. All right. So everybody visit their website also, liberatedmindsinstitute.com. And then you can also email her at liberatedmindseducation@yahoo.com. You can there as well.
And if I may, I want to let everybody know we do have another powerful, proficient professional homeschool training coming up probably the end of January. I think end of January, beginning of February, the date. So if you're interested in that too, you can send an email. We also have the Black Babysitter Certification course. So if your children are interested in working with children, right? We've graduated 2 classes already. It is absolutely amazing.
Talk about that. Black baby.
Oh yes, that's it. Well, all jokes aside, since those 2 classes have graduated, we had one major circumstance where one of the daughters had a fire in her house. Wow. And when I say the mother called, and she literally was in tears. She said she had siblings she had to get out of that house, right? So even though, it sounds great, Black babysitter, that's nice, but this is like real practical skills. Right. She was able to get her children, her brothers and sisters to safety, right? Oh, and so this is like real stuff. We're teaching them about fire safety. We're teaching them, they also get their first aid certification, and they get their herbal first aid training, also an extra hour of that in addition to their certification. We also teach them about
herbal first aid training. Say that again.
Yes, it's what they get their first aid, right? Their certification through it's a federal certification, so it's good anywhere you go, right? Like Red Cross. Well, we don't go through Red Cross, I don't do it, but it holds the weight of like a Red Cross first aid certification in CPR. So they learn both of those things. Well, in addition to that, we have Sister Celestial 7 come in. She does 1 hour of an herbal first aid. What are the things right in your cabinet? If someone has a major cut or something, cayenne is really good. Pack it with cayenne, put the pressure on it to stop bleeding right away. So just different things that our children can learn that right around them that they may have to help with an emergency situation. If somebody drinks something or eats something, what's in the cabinet that they can take that maybe help flush out their system outside of just drinking water. So these are real practical skills and tools that can be used. And then a lot of our children are caring for siblings a lot more during this time, right? Some parents are like, hey, I can't leave my job right now. You might have 10 and 11-year-olds taking care of multiple siblings, even sometimes while they're still homeschooling on the virtual, right?
Right.
And still taking care of them. So if you have children, young or old, who are caring for siblings, if you have children who are looking to make money babysitting, which is great because it's a great way to bond with other children and make some money in a positive way. Or if you have children who are looking at doing some type of childcare development, something dealing with children when they get older as a career, it's perfect for all of them. We use Nana Fukiao's work, the Congo Art of Babysitting. We use
Okay.
that book as our foundation. We talk about when you are caring for another child, the impact that you have on that child's life is so profound. The things you tell them, not just being on your cell phone waiting for the parents to come home, right? But really being able to spend time. What does the child like to do? Reading, talking, maybe just interaction, like real positive interaction. Sometimes changing their language. They may have negative language about themselves, making them feel confident. What are age appropriate activities? What's the safety factor if someone rings the doorbell, or you're taking a small child out in the yard? What are the things you need to look for? Making sure the ground is safe. There's nothing sticking up out of the ground, or little things that make a huge difference. And
Right.
so that course is just 1 weekend. It's a 1 weekend intensive, Saturday and Sunday. It's a 10-hour intensive. It's 5 hours on Saturday, 5 hours on Sunday. And it's just amazing. So that's going to be coming up for those who are interested. We also have our book on why we homeschool, because I always say, we got to know our whys, because you had them days where you're just like, okay,
Why am I doing
what's happening? So that is the book. It is a bestseller, and I'm just happy to be a part of that. It is a compilation of many moms who contributed their story of why. There's so many reasons why we as African people have chosen this path. Is like, but like you were saying earlier, when I first came into it, all I saw was, white Christian women and families. That's all I saw. I didn't see any of us 25 years ago. Now I know there were some, because now I meet them sometimes. They're like, wow, I was homeschooling then too. But I know the success. My children have been able to actualize what they love. My son he's a pilot, and he is managing a whole pilot training for the U.S. for one of the biggest companies, and has his entrepreneurial endeavors. He's been a pilot since 16. So a lot of times it's expanding our own aspirations. My daughter's been a chef since she was 12, vegan, vegetarian chef. We do not have to wait until these people tell us, this is the age that your children do this. That's the age they're supposed to do that. Nobody else is waiting for that. If you go into them Chinese restaurants, them 4 and 5-year-olds are at least putting napkins on the table. They're at least handing you a bag. There's something that our children can do at all stages, and everything is about their stage, not their age. We see this all the time. If we look at, if King Tut can be a doggone king
Right.
at the age of what, 8?
Yeah. Well,
That
12.
should tell us right there. Our children have the capability to do so much more. We just have to expand our minds, our reach, our connections, our resources, and our network, and our family, right? Our community family. For those that support this process, I know it can be done. I'm walking that journey right now as I speak. I have 7 children. I have still 3 at home. And it's been up and down. It's been beautiful overall. There's been some challenges, but if you think about it, what in life, doesn't present some challenge? You're going to have challenges regardless. So you might as well have the challenges doing what it is that you propose to do, that is best, than to deal with the challenges at the same time of knowing that, okay, I have this challenge, and I have this challenge doing something that I don't even want to be doing anyway. Like, where's the excitement and the joy in that? At least this is what I'm doing. So when I get through this challenge, I'm going to be even further along on this journey, and I'm empowering generations going back and forward, right? The ancestors all the way back to those that are unborn. You're changing the narrative, changing the trajectory of our people around the world. So you know how passionate I get about this.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So very quickly here, I want to go back to this article, and then I want you to tell us about the Black Homeschooling Expo as well.
Yes.
But very quickly here in the article on page 2, and you said some of the people in
oh yes, Sister Cheryl Ann Fields, absolutely. Beautiful sister, doing great research, great work, period.
Right.
But she does a lot of
And
great research, which is very necessary because we need
okay,
those, doing the research for our community because it is a very different scenario and situation. Yes.
okay, yeah, she's a professor at the University of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so very quickly here, it talks about this one family here. Okay, Griffin, did a KJ Griffin in Birmingham, Alabama. When she and her husband realized their kids would not be going back to public school in March of 2020, they knew they had to make a change. She said it was a light bulb moment. Ultimately, when I realized, ultimately what I realized is that the pandemic just gave us an opportunity to do what we needed to do anyway, which is homeschooling.
Yes.
Now, one of the things they talked about here is three things made her decide to officially start homeschooling. One, she wanted her children to be safe from bullies in school. And two, she also wanted them to understand their cultural history. Three, the third factor was freedom. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
we talked about this some already, but talk about that for a minute. And when parents come to you wanting to homeschool, are these some of the key reasons why they say they want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No one wants to know that their children are going somewhere where they're not being loved on, where people
Right.
are talking about them, lowering their self esteem. And it's so easy to do because, children look to their peers for their and for their level of confidence and their approval, right? They listen
Right.
to us as parents too, but really they want to fit in with their peers. And that's just the reality of it. So I feel like that negative peer pressure, I mean, we see it now. There's more suicide with young Black males and Black daughters now than ever before. Between the social media, these environments where the children are being bullied, there's so many reasons why, right? But the
Right.
bullying it's more and more and more that we're hearing about that being connected to various suicides. And to me, it breaks my heart because there are other options and opportunities, and I know financially sometimes it can be rough, but really what stepping into this journey, it opens up your mind to so many possibilities that you didn't even know existed. Let me tell you, because walking this journey, I found that even financially, the things that I eat, the way that I think, everything has had to shift
Right.
fully to make this successful. So homeschooling is really is a segue into opening up the healing, the growth in all other areas. That's really important because homeschooling
Okay.
it makes us look at all the intentional facets that are going to make our children successful. And our children don't stand alone, right? They stand within a family unit. So if you're looking
Mhm.
at it for them, you got to look at it for you. You have to mirror what it is that you want them to see, right? And what you want them to embody and to experience. So I think it
Exactly.
forces us to a higher level of self. Our accountability is much greater, right? And all the little things that we used to just kind of, well, they won't know this, that, the third. It's like we are really being held accountable. And I think that's a great thing because sometimes we can, make up excuses and things like that along the way. But we gotta make it happen. Yes,
Exactly.
there she is. Yes.
Yeah. So in the article here on page 3 of the article, in the section titled "Homeschooling as Activism," it says in Black households, homeschooling can be its own unique form of activism and resistance.
Yes.
Uh, Cheryl Fields Smith, who's a professor at the University of Georgia, who studies Black homeschooling and its cultural significance, said, "quote The history that's taught is that we've tried through Brown versus Board of Education to get access to schools, and schools are integrated." She said, and that's true, but we've also always been self-taught. We've always been
Hmm.
also have always been self-taught. And she said homeschooling is a way to combat educational racism, which comes in many forms. Uh,
Yes.
she said, quote, "We all know that there are structures and policies and practices within our traditional schools that can be damaging to students of color, Black students in particular. And one of the things that we hear, and it also goes in to talk about suspension rates, and I want you to comment on this. School discipline is one of them. School discipline is one of the one of the things that could be practices that could be damaging to students of color,
Yes.
African American students specifically. Data from a 2014 study by the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights showed that Black students were suspended at 3 times the rate of white students,
Mm-hmm.
and were more likely to be reprimanded. A 2015 study from the Association for Psychological Science found that Black students are more likely to be labeled troublemakers by teachers. Okay, so talk
Yes.
about that for a minute here.
Well, I mean, all of this deals with the prison, the prison pipeline. The school to prison
Uh-huh.
pipeline is real,
Right.
right?
Right.
They are deciding on how many prisons they're going to build, how many beds they're going to have in their prison based upon the second grade reading scores of our Black children. I read an article about that. That kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, the strategy and the strategy that goes into making sure that we fail on a lot of levels, and fail doesn't have to just mean that you don't do well in school. Fail means that we're completely dependent, and this is my perspective, we're still completely dependent upon the system, because you can have people who they still don't know who they are. They come out of school, they get great grades, but they don't identify with our African greatness. They don't function in a way that's empowering for African people. As Nana Marimba said, is it powerful? Is it helpful? Is it whatever we are doing, it has to be something empowering for our people. And that's the real in it. So if we're not dealing with economic empowerment, there is no education. If we're not dealing with spiritual empowerment, there is no education. If we're not dealing with cultural empowerment, there is no education, right? Because everything that we learn, if we are to truly be empowered, has to be from our worldview. So the prison to pipeline, this is just a reflection of that, because it starts in the school system where our children start to get labeled because of behavior. They're more tougher punitive action for things that are so small. This in as little as preschool. These young brothers and sisters are already being labeled. They're already being prepped for the next level. And see, these records follow them. And
Right.
all of those records that follow them, now they can begin to use those records to see, okay, by 8th grade, these are the people that we'll have in the system. By 12th grade, these are the people we'll have in the system. After high school, these are those that will be in the penal system. Right? So it is a very well constructed plan that we don't really, we don't know the depth of it unless you study it and you understand how it works. We don't necessarily know the depth of it, and some of us don't even believe it because it's so deep. We can't even believe the level of crafting. If we think about it like this, if they pay billions of dollars to master how we think as a people for marketing purposes, they're not paying the $1 billion to not get results. They're going to use those results. And so when we look at it from that perspective, we can understand that everything we see is a part of this overall plan. And if we want to make sure that we are empowering our children, we have to come from a space where it is through our lens. And we cannot just think just because it's a Black face, it's through our lens. It's the content. That's real. Oh my God, my child, this book. I mean, I read a book. It was one book I read years ago. I think it was Henry's Freedom Box or something like it. It was a book and beautiful pictures. Kadir Nelson did the artwork, and he was like, it was a picture book for children. Like by the second, third page, he was talking about good slaves and he was good to him. And I was like, what's happening? And I'm just like, there's little things that get slipped in. So we have to read the content. It's not just because there's great images and pictures, or even if it's a class that your children take, they say it's for Black people, because I'm about African-centered education, which is really about, that's unapologetically us, right? It doesn't mean it's negative anybody else. I'm not worried about that. It just means that we are doing what is empowering our mind,
So
our
talk
children.
for a minute. Talk for a minute about African-centered education, because I talked about this a little bit on my show yesterday. One of the things that was on my show yesterday was the winter solstice, and what the
Yes.
winter solstice is,
Mm-hmm.
how it determines when Christmas is celebrated. But
Absolutely.
winter solstice festivals in ancient cultures. And then I dealt with Asar, Osset, and Heru. I referenced
Powerful.
Christianity Before Christ by Dr. John T. Jackson, all of that. And we dealt with astronomy, things like this.
Yeah, that's African-centered education right there.
Right. So,
really, yes.
So when you say African-centered education, explain what this is. The reason why I say this is because, okay, so what you just talked about, the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like white supremacy through ventriloquism. Okay, the ideas of white people coming through the mouth of somebody of African descent. So when you say African-centered education, explain what you mean. And the reason why this is really important, because you have some people, and I talked about this yesterday on my show as well, who like want to define themselves as descendants of slaves. And I'm like, well, okay, now slavery did happen, but the slaves were freed. Chattel slavery ended in 1865. And not only were they free from slavery, you had 2,000 African Americans who served in the Civil War to fight for their freedom.
Right.
And so when you look at after slavery ends, they didn't keep calling themselves slaves.
They were enslaved. They weren't slaves,
Well, not only that,
I know what you're saying.
Or freedmen, they were called the freedmen.
Yes.
Black freedmen. You look at the Freedmen's Bank.
That's
you look at the Freedmen's Bureau. Things like that. So
Absolutely.
they weren't calling themselves after slavery. So why do some of us then try to
still want to make that connection?
Try to put them back into a condition they were free from and fought to get out of.
Well, that's the mental conditioning that we're dealing with. That's the mental conditioning we are undoing, right?
Yep.
So think of it like this.
But talk about what African-centered education is, though.
Yes. I'm getting right. This is all connected.
That's fine.
All the things that we are doing right now to undo our thinking. Imagine our children never having that level of thinking. There's always things to grow with, right? But at the same time, they're not undoing the essence of who they are. They're not undoing the expectations of their greatness. They're not undoing. So imagine how much time could be saved, right? And utilized in a way that is adding on to what exists or what has existed from our ancestral realm all the way into the physical realm, all the way to the future, right? We got to make that connection between past, present, and future, because it really is all one. When you think about the, time and the essence, everything that everybody else has given us around time is not really real. It's not in the way that they put it, right? So what I want you to understand is that when you're dealing with African-centered education, it's not just Black awareness. Like so-and-so is the first person to do this, and I know all the first people to do, and most of the first people, when you think about it, and I was Brother T. Shango and Brother Billy Shaka, I'm sending some love out there. And I was sitting in one of the classes.
Say that again. Your voice is dropping out. Say that again. Say that name
Brother
again.
T. Shango and Billy Shaka, from African Awakening Mind. Amazing, because he teaches on the campus as well. And he said in one class, he said to me, not to me, to the children, because I listen in sometimes. And he said, sometimes the people who are the firsts to do something, not always, there's something to learn from them. However, those were the first ones to be accepted by Yorugus or by European society.
Exactly.
Not necessarily. You're right. So we place so much emphasis on who was the first. My perspective on that is, yes, we can celebrate certain things about that, but even one thing we got to go deeper with when we're talking about educating our children, it's not just about them feeling good with them knowing what they can do, but it's giving them the skills to actually do it, right? And when you're giving them those skills, what are they doing it for? As Nana Amos Wilson always says, I love his work. Nana Amos Wilson is
Blueprint for Black Power and
yes. Awakening the Genius.
Black Child.
Awakening the Genius was my book. That was my book. Like, it spoke to me, to my soul, And so he always speaks to that, is that, if we are not empowering our people, it's a waste of time. What good is it for your child to, be valedictorian and get all this and then go get their doctorates and then they're working at Monsanto? Like, Monsanto is destroying the world and like, what good is it? So we have to think about African-centered education is about really getting to the nuts and bolts, if we're talking about economics, it sounds real good, like people master the language, the intergenerational wealth, and it sounds great, but what does it take to actually do that? And to me, intergenerational wealth starts with creating and maintaining a culture, an African culture of thinking and being and doing, because it doesn't just mean that you are economically endowed with all of this money and now you can buy this and you can buy that. What it means is that, number one, if you don't have the right African mind, you're going to perpetuate the same system with the money that you have. So when we're coming from an African center standpoint, we're talking about what are the systems, the structures, the what needs to be built. We need our own banks, but what does that mean? How are we going to use those banks? We got our own banks now, and a lot of those banks function just like the other banks, right? Not all of them, but a lot of them function just like the Yoruba banks, just like the European banks. So
see, this is what I explain to people. Now, my degree's in business administration with a major in marketing. I graduated in 1994 from Wayne State University, but I have a African-centered education. I'm a historian as well. And what I explain to people is that, you see, when you study the history of cooperative economics among African Americans, these were principles we brought with us from Africa, the co-ops. And cooperative economics is different than white capitalism dressed in red, black, and green.
Oh, what are you saying?
Those are two different things. Okay, cooperative economics is different than white capitalism.
This is not this is not Halloween. We're not dressing up like anything. If you're not feeling it from the core of your soul, if you're not willing to give some sacrifice, if you're not willing to, put in that extra, and still be able to make sure that, that each one teach one, that we're reaching others, regardless. Some people say, well, our people this and our people that. I'm like, yeah, we all got things that we are healing from. So we can't throw each other away, right? Always throwing each other away. We can't do that. We got to be patient with each other. It doesn't mean that you got to keep everybody in your circle. I don't keep everybody in my circle. I don't feel bad about it either. However, there are those that I love that I can assist from afar, or that I can, give whatever assistance that I can on whatever level. But it's our children have to be in a space that they're learning about this at the deepest. On a campus, we say deeper learning versus higher learning. Because that's so much more important for our children to go deeper. If they love something at a young age, they should be learning about it. They should be doing it. They should be understanding the industry. They should be understanding other African people in the industry. They should be understanding other Yorugus in the industry, seeing who's doing what. What's the difference in culture? What's the difference in how we're functioning? They should be doing research projects. They should be doing interviews. These are the things that I did for my children coming up, and that I still do. Interview this person. Oh, this is interesting. Let me see if I can get in touch with them. Set up an interview. They should have the opportunity to keeping your eyes out for every little thing. I didn't know anything about aviation at all. Or even catering. My children. We have to be just as astute and involved in the learning process. That's what parenting is about anyway, right? And I feel like between parents and children, there's a reciprocal relationship. As our children are growing, we have to grow. If we don't grow, then there's a cutoff somewhere, right? That they've come to push us further on our journey, and we've come to help cultivate them, to guide them. We don't have to put everything in there. It's in there already. We're just pulling it out.
Exactly.
We're allowing it to shine. We're cultivating the seed.
Empowering.
Yes.
Draw out what's already in. Very quickly here, everybody should check out this book. This is called Collective Courage: A History of African American Cooperative Economic Thought and Practice. It's by Dr. Jessica Gordon Nemhard, and it deals with a ton of different examples of us using cooperative economics, whether you're talking about the Colored Farmers Union, created about 1886 in Texas, and it grew to 1.2 million members, where you talk about the Free African Society, 1787, the Colored Merchants Association, about 1928, 1929, which was an association of African-American grocery store owners that organized to better compete against Kresge's and Woolworths in the early 1920s. Okay, this is an excellent book. I interviewed her back in 2014. Numerous articles have been written about her in this book. And these are practices we brought with us from Africa. The concept of the co-op is the members are also owners of these organizations. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So
Distribution
one,
of wealth, distribution of wealth.
yeah,
So for everyone to be successful and thriving,
right.
not just
So
one
they
person.
had they had co-ops for farming. They had co-ops for what we call benevolent societies that raise money to bury people and raise money for the sick and all different types of things. That this They raise money to buy people out of freedom. We had co-ops during slavery to buy people out of freedom, etc. So this is a deep, deep history. This is what I'm saying.
That's
Look,
that's
I know
powerful.
people,
That's powerful.
people
Yes,
who promote like economic empowerment, but it's really white business principles
yes.
dressed up as red, black, and green.
That's right.
It's not
That's
economic
right.
empowerment. Yeah, you can in the stock market, but then what do you do with your money? If you still have a European colonized mind, okay,
Yes,
you're gonna do destructive things with the money.
that's
Okay,
right.
so we have to
That's
understand
right.
this. And the other thing,
And that's the real intergenerational wealth. That's why I tie it to
right,
culture. You can have as much money as you want, but I mean, we can work hard in one generation and it could be, we see it all the time, squandered in the next generation. So then we're
right,
starting back at zero again. If our mind is not right, if our children don't understand the power of who they are, the power of what it means
hmm,
to be African, from all facets, when you know your spiritual story, when you know your educational background, when you know the things that we've created in this world, right? There's no question in your mind of what you can create going forward. So yes,
exactly,
African-centered education is all of that. It's all of that. It's not just learning about the things that we've done. What are the skills we need to do what we need to do, which is what we're working so diligently to provide with Liberated Minds and working with different organizations. If you have an organization, definitely feel free to reach out. We do a lot of collaborations. We want to empower all of those who are
hmm,
on this journey. And everybody's not taking the same pathway. And it
exactly,
doesn't have to be where someone else does it the way you do it. That's the beauty in it, the diversity. But it has to be centered in our people, non-compromising. This is,
right,
we're dealing with those maroon principles because we
right.
can't afford to compromise. We can't afford to just, um, to kind of go with the wind and anything goes. We have to
Exactly. We have to
have
have
those
purpose. We have to have purpose.
non-negotiables. Yes,
Right. Well, well,
non-negotiables.
well, I want to I want to talk about this slide very quickly, and then I want you
Yes.
to wrap up talking about the
All
Black
right. I see
Homeschooling
Baba
Expo.
on there.
So
Yes.
two of my teachers, Dr. Linda Jeffries and Professor Jane Small, when they teach, they talk about the pyramid principle. Okay. So those who may not be familiar with this is the pyramid of Khafre of Giza. We see Harem Aket, or the Sphinx, what the Greeks call the Sphinx. So a pyramid has three sides. The foundation of the pyramid is African history and culture. It's African history and culture that gives us our values, our interests, and our principles, our VIPs. Okay. And this gives us a cultural paradigm that we see the world through. The two sides of the pyramid are economic empowerment and political empowerment. Your history and
Mm-hmm.
culture influences your concept of economic empowerment and how you engage in economics, how you engage in business, etc. And then it also influences how you engage in politics. Understanding politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth upon resources, the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement, and how all this comes together. So Dr. J
Yes.
said we have to have a synthesis of all of this. It's not just learning to speak Medu Neter or Kiswahili and playing the djembe, but it's having
Right. Right.
having a synthesis of all three of these. Okay. Now talk about the Liberated Minds Black Homeschooling Education Expo that takes place. It was the third weekend in
Yes.
July, but we had to change a little
We
bit
moved
because
it
of
to
COVID.
June.
Oh,
Yes.
moved it to June. Talk about that.
It's the third weekend in June, and only because a lot of families need assistance a little bit earlier with everything that's going on. Right, we're doing the best
Okay.
that we have, and we just got to make it happen. Right, so
Well, you
yeah, it is coming up on June 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's a 3-day conference. We have over 1,000 families. Can y'all imagine that? 1,000 families who come
wow.
together from all over the world about specifically the empowerment of our children, of our families. We have workshops for everything from how to homeschool to economics to great health and wellness to yoga to greetings, Baba Ankh. I see Baba Ankh in the house. Netta Ankh, yes.
Yeah, Netta
We
Ankh.
have
How
a
you
little,
doing, Netta Ankh? I know Netta Ankh.
yes,
We and I speak at the conference usually each year.
that's
Yep.
right.
Netta Ankh.
Yes.
Yep.
We have over 40, anywhere between 40 and 50 presentations every single
Mhm.
year. And it's a very nominal cost. It usually starts out at around $25 early bird special. So we'll be putting that out soon. And
Okay.
it's just amazing. We have things for the children, workshops, classes. We have also trainings for educators, for just
Mm-hmm.
parenting, everything you can think of. If you want information about how to transition your children into college, and you don't have to be homeschooling, right? This
Right.
information is universal information for our African people. So
Right.
regardless of where you are, what stage you're in, you can
Mhm.
come on, meet other families. It's also a great place to network if you have products and curriculum. We
Right.
also have sponsorships, and we have a marketplace also you can get involved with. So it is the way you feel. The beautiful thing is we've had so many people just be on such a high when they leave that they've actually
Right.
gone out to start their own institutions, their own homeschool groups. It was like that last little boost that they needed to just, to take it to the next level. And that's what we're here to do. But we don't just want to inspire, because
Mhm.
inspiration dies, right? Unless it's
Right. Right.
continuously resparked. We want to give the skills, the resources, and the training. And that's the difference with Liberated Minds. We don't just want a one and done. We're ongoing. We're here to stay. All different facets of the things that are needed. And if you let us know if there's something we don't have, if it's not in the works, we look to incorporate it or bring other organizations on that we can partner with to make that a true possibility as well. So the Expo was just an amazing. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary. So
Yep.
for those of you who haven't heard of us, right, we've been around for a minute. 25 years in the making with the Liberated Minds. Even before it was an institute, we had a Black Butterfly Educational Cipher, which started out from that space, the Roots to Fruits Homeschool Collective, all of it just a continuation. And the Liberated Minds Expo, actually, which formed into the Liberated Minds Institute, which embodied all of everything that we've done. We do a lot of events. We do the Children of the Sun Fest and included inclusion to the Expo. We also have the Children's Watoto Kwanzaa Jamboree that we usually do in person. So trustfully, we'll be able to do that again soon. But there's a host of offerings that we have throughout the year. And yeah, so definitely reach out to us, Liberated Minds Education at Yahoo. Grant, I see the Cabrera's in the house from the campus, Homeschool University in the house. Greetings, family.
All right. Yeah. Greetings to everybody from the campus and from the institute. Okay. Now, June 25th through the 27th.
No,
The
17th through the 19th. 17th through the
17th
19th.
through the 19th. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I was looking at 2021. Yeah.
Yes,
17th through the 19th.
yes.
And is that going to be virtual or in person, or do you
That'll
know?
be virtual again this year. And
Okay.
trustfully, next year we'll be able to do both. Because
Okay.
definitely everyone, normally it's in Atlanta, and you already know how
Right.
it is. It's live. We have over
Right.
100 vendors,
Yeah.
great food, vegan soul food, and the children perform. We have classes and training for the parents, and it's just an
Hmm.
amazing, I can't even put it into words for y'all. However, the virtual is still amazing. We've had some great, just great powerhouses come through just to support the conference each and every year. So,
All right, excellent,
anyways,
excellent.
yes,
Yeah, for 2022, I definitely want to speak at the conference again as well.
absolutely, absolutely.
We'll talk about that. All right. So let people know how they can follow you on social media before we get
Yes.
out.
You can go on IG. It is liberated_minds_expo. And you can also do Queen at Queen Taese
Mhm.
IG. On Facebook, you can look up the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Expo. It's on there just like that. You have the website, which is Liberated Minds Institute. Liberated Minds. If you're having trouble getting on, someone saying that sometimes some people, every time I talk to somebody, some people are getting through. Some people it's blocking them, especially in other countries. Sometimes it'll block them. So it's okay. Just email me and I'll put you through to be able to get on there some kind of way. I've been able to help redirect people. Sometimes you may want to go through the queentaese.com site. There's a link on there to take you to the institute, or through the liberatedmindsexpo.com. But the best way to reach me directly, you can go to the email, which is liberatedmindseducation@yahoo.com.
Okay.
And you can get the information. I will reach out. You got to give me a little second. Sometimes we get over 100 emails per week and calls, and we're very small staffed, but we're
Right.
growing. We're growing. But I want to leave everybody with a poem, if I can. If I
Go ahead.
All right, this is a poem that I wrote. It's called Liberated Minds, and I think it really embodies the principle of what we're about and who we are. It's called Liberated Minds. Some of us are breaking generational curses, cycles that our families don't even know exist. Because in order to keep a cycle going, there must be subconscious participants. And there must be a system in place that works effortlessly like a well oiled machine, designed to kill our dreams and maintain the oppressive regime. So now here you come, trying to spark all this change, trying to interrupt the same, trying to add African overtones to your name, severing shackles and chains, because you know when it pours, it rains. But maybe the rain is what we need to cleanse the illusion, wiping out our confusion, because our children deserve to live. And we are the ones they've been waiting for an education of truth we must give. The veil has been lifted. Help them tap their intuition. Third eye vision will invoke their inner pyramids of precision. Education without walls. Your life is your curriculum, so live it. See the lessons in all things. The stars are the exhibits. See, we've been taught by textbooks with lies, suppressing our genius and stifling our pride. Yet still, we rise, taking this stance to educate our own. Return us to our royal throne. Put down the cell phone. Our spirituality is our technology. What we think and speak becomes our new reality. The possibilities are infinite. Never again on a slave ship. The only ship we talking about is Black ownership and entrepreneurship. Taking back our power, unapologetically Black. Train our children to be sovereign so we can have our own back. Make sure our babies thrive, showing them what it really means to be alive, their greatness, their brilliance. For the children, I have reverence. They are the reason we exist generations before and after, because everything starts from a seed. How we nurture them is what matters. Crushing the pipeline to prison, paving a pathway to prosperity, developing scientists, mathematicians, great writers of the extraordinary. We have to grow our own food, teach our children cultivation. Their connection to the earth is what raises their vibration. Liberated minds is a frequency, the power of awakening. All our stolen legacies are there for the taking. It's not enough to just be conscious or happy to have information. Conscientiousness is the new currency. Plans of action is what we're making. Our melanin is magic. No longer mystery, it's clear. And our entourage of ancestors are standing right here. Don't worry about the naysayers because they're just not ready. In order to win this race, we must move calculated and steady. You're on a journey of courage. Let's celebrate the world that's traveled. Just know I'm walking with you even over the rocks and gravel. Our culture is our cure. Shout it out. Let's embrace it. Our children are the fruit. Let's protect the living sacred. Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you for that. All right. Okay, well, look, Queen Taese, I know you have to go. People check out Liberated Minds Institute.com and Liberated Minds Expo.com as well. And you have a great day, sister, and we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Much love to Sister Margarita in the house. Yes.
Yeah,
Dear
Sister
thanks,
Margarita.
Brother Mike. I appreciate you having me on. And it's
All
great
right,
to
no
see
problem,
you again
sister.
as always. Much love.
You too. All right,
Okay.
take care. Peace. Peace. All right, family. That was Queen Taese at Liberated Minds Expo. How's everybody doing? Cabrera, Netta Ankh, how you doing, Netta? Candace, Holistic Arts Center. Who else is this? Solomon. Okay. Follow us here on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. And turn on notifications so you know when we go live. Also, if you want to advertise with the African History Network, email us at TheAHNShow@gmail.com, TheAHNShow@gmail.com, or at AHNShow@gmail.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. And we put your 30-second to 60-second commercial into the audio podcast of our shows, but also into when we rebroadcast our shows, because I'm on air basically 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time, the African History Network show, and then Sundays 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we rebroadcast the shows throughout the days, throughout the day. So your commercial air and the rebroadcast of our shows on our social media platforms, but then they're also in the audio podcast version of our show. So we're on 10 different podcast platforms, including Facebook podcasts. We're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Castbox, FM Player, Stitcher, TuneIn. And so our current promotion is buy 1 month, get 2 months free. Email us at theahnshow@gmail.com or email us at ahnshow@gmail.com, ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com, I should say. And we'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Also, you can register for the online courses I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays is from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And then Sundays, it's Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, so we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We have a special bundle pack right now where you can register for both classes for only $70. They're regularly $130 each, and you still have access to the class even after the course is over with. Okay, so I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. So these are classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. So we just posted the link here for it. And we posted the link for the bundle pack as well. Okay. All right. If you have any questions about those, you can email me also. But that's Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. We all know Kemet's one of the original names of Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And that class is on sale $60 by itself. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power is on sale $50, but we have a bundle pack when you can register for both classes for only $70. All right, look, we have to get out of here. And lastly, also, if you want to support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. So this helps us stay on the air, keep doing the research, keep broadcasting, etc. So we definitely need your support. This is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. When you go to it, it says Michael, and it shows my picture there. Okay. And I'm going to bring up our graphic here because these other ones are fake African History Network Cash App accounts, and it's not me. And I'm trying to get them shut down, but because I've talked to some people that made mistakes and didn't know and sent it to one of the fake ones. So this is our official Cash App account, which is $ the AHN Show SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael and shows my picture there. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now, let's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll be on live tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk to you next time.